everyone. This is Yasmyne from the Freedom Geek, and today I'm very, very lucky to be able to speak to Steve Hall. He has successfully found his virtual assistant through the Freedom Geek, and I'm excited to know about his journey, his experiences, and how his virtual assistant helped him transform his business. So, Steve, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Sure. So my name's Steve Hall. I run an online, essentially marketing business. So I create niche websites and essentially make money from ads and affiliate links and things like that. I also have a full-time job, so it's not my full-time business. And that being the case, I found it quite difficult to do everything by myself, which is why I started searching for a virtual assistant in the first place.
So, how did your virtual assistant help you transform your business, considering that you were very, very busy? How did they help you in, managing your time?
It's helped me to move things forward a lot quicker. So also there are lots of things that obviously just doing everything by myself, I'm good at some parts of the business and other parts obviously I can do, but I don't really like. Other people are better at some of those tasks. So I tended to procrastinate, I think, a lot on the things I didn't really like doing, even though they were quite important, and focused a lot of the things on a lot of the things that I enjoyed doing, which meant my forward movement was pretty slow in some cases, at some times. So having the virtual assistant, it really helped to move things forward quicker. So I had him doing all sorts of things. So to start off with, I asked him to do all sorts of different things, and then we kind of started to focus in on a few key things that I was having problems, moving forward. So it's really just freed up a lot of time for me to focus on what I need to do and what I like to do, and then give all of those other things to my virtual assistant.
Did you find it difficult to start delegating tasks to your virtual assistant in the very beginning? And was the onboarding process a challenge?
Yes, I think to both. It's the first time, yes, and obviously for the last couple of years, I've been doing everything by myself. So giving up some part of control of that was quite difficult to start with. It was made easier because part of my business is recording training to help other people do what I do. So I already had that training that I could give to him to kind of get up to speed with what I was doing and how I do things. So that made it easier. But still, I'm quite detail oriented, and it's quite difficult that it's not me doing it. And if I was doing it, I would have done it in a slightly different way. So yeah, it was difficult to start with, but I think I'm pretty much the same as everyone else. I think as time goes on, you learn that you have to just give up control of some things, and if you do, yeah, again, just things move quicker. So yeah, it was difficult to start with, but gets easier.
How long have you been working with your virtual assistant?
I think it's been about 4 or 5 months now, probably about 5 months in total, I think.
And did you find any surprising instances when it came to working with your virtual assistant?
I don't think I was surprised, more quite pleased really as to the level of skill that he has. What for me is a relatively low cost, so I think that was quite good, in a surprising in a good way, I suppose.
How did you also find the process of finding a virtual assistant, from having the initial call to being passed to a relationship manager to finally interviewing 3 people? Were you able to find your virtual assistant in the first interviews, or did you look for more? How did you find that process?
It was pretty easy, really. So this is my second virtual assistant. I did have another chat the first time, which didn't work out quite so well. But I think that was more because I really didn't know what I wanted, and wasn't sure what I wanted that person to do. And I was also going through a bit of a transition in what I was doing with my own business as well. So, but in both cases, so with the first and the second one, it was a very easy process for me. I know other people who have used virtual assistants and they've done it themselves. And I know from what they've said, it's been a very lengthy process, looking through, hundreds of CVs and things like that. So fortunately for me, I didn't have to do that because I had you guys helping me with that, which was, it's another thing for me, again, having a full-time job. It's just something that I think I probably would have put off for a long time if I'd had to do it myself.
Yes, we do a lot of the screening. We look through their CVs, their IDs, all the due diligence, and ask them all the questions that we need to ask them, so that when we do show them to you, they're up and ready, and they're just ready to be onboarded to your business, because they are excited to be onboarded to your business, and they're just get things going already. But do you have any tips to any entrepreneurs who are very interested to getting a virtual assistant but aren't exactly sure if they should get one? Specifically, the ones who have never worked with VAs before, not exactly sure what VAs do, what you can delegate.
I think having a structure is really important. Whether they use someone like you or whether they do it themselves, I think you need to have that structure in terms of knowing, first of all, knowing what you want the person to do. I know a lot of people struggle with that to start with, but even if it's just, a relatively vague idea, so that in the first week, month, that you can actually get going quickly. Because that was, I think, one of the issues to start with for me was, what do I give them to have a go at the first time? And I think that's why I struggled with the first person. So I think having that structure and having, a solid idea of what you're going to give them in the first few weeks, in the first month or so. And also, having that structure about actually finding someone, what kind of skills do you need, what kind of budget do you have, and being able to go through that kind of screening process to get to someone that is actually going to be able to help you.
How's the process of being able to, get to know a person virtually, specifically a Filipino? Is there anything that you'd like to share with us that was quite beautiful, quite surprising?
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I think now that a lot of people are working from home, we're all kind of used to working with people remotely now. So maybe it wasn't so much of a problem, but for quite a long time, I've been in different groups and I've got help from different people remotely. So in different parts of the world. And I already used Slack as a way to communicate with those people. So I just continued that with my VA. And that worked really well. It's quite an easy platform to use, and it allows for just kind of general chit chat as well. So I don't keep it all to business. We're in different parts of the world, so sometimes we're asking each other how the pandemic situation is in our countries, and talking about Christmas, and I think my VA, his partner recently just had a baby, and so it's all these kinds of things that you just over time you get to know about the other person. So it makes it easy, even though you're not physically working in the same location. I think it eases the working relationship to know some personal things about the other person. It seems, at least for me, that kind of developed naturally over time. So it's quite nice. We have a good working relationship now.
What kind of setup do you have with your virtual assistant? Do you require them to be, up at a certain time? Do you need them to be working on a computer like 2 hours, 3 hours straight? Or is it like more flexible? And how does that work for you and for your virtual assistant?
Sure. At the moment, it's fairly flexible. I give him a certain amount of tasks to do and ask him to do certain things by the end of the week, let's say, or the end of the month. But then I leave it up to him as to when and where he does them. As long as the results come in, for me, it doesn't matter too much. And as I said, because I've got a full-time job as well, I can't always be monitoring what he's doing. So I have to just trust that he's gonna get on with the work, and he does. So I'm really happy.
How long did it take for you to completely like trust your virtual assistant? Because I know like the first challenge that people usually have when they have a virtual assistant, you know, specifically when they first onboard a person, they have questions like, how do I hand over you know, tasks where I need them to handle money? Do you find that is that something that is difficult to do, or is that something that you just have to first build trust with your virtual assistant, and then later on, you know, once you do have that trust, then you can slowly give off tasks that are more sensitive?
Yes, I think you've got it right there. It's just you have to just develop the trust over time. So with my assistant, I just gave him small, very specific tasks to start with, and just kept building from there. And again, hearing what other people are doing there, it sounds like a very similar story. So it's probably one of the downsides of being like a solopreneur, you know, trying to do everything yourself. You hold on to everything and you control everything. So it does take a while to release all of that. But yeah, if you don't get I think the benefits of having a virtual assistant, and you don't free up your time, which is really the key thing of having a virtual assistant. At least for me, I need time to not only do my day job, but also to then focus on the key points that I need to get done in my online business.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. So we are almost nearing the end of this interview, but are there any additional advice that you would like to give to entrepreneurs about working with a virtual assistant?
I would say that from a lot of people who move in the same circles as me, there's a lot of people talking about getting a virtual assistant and asking about virtual assistants, but it seems to take a very long time for them to take that first step. So I think my advice would be do it earlier than later, because once you get going, you can really start to see how easy it is to delegate small and big tasks, and it frees up time and it relieves stress, and you can start with a really small amount of money and a small amount of time allocated to them, so you can really kind of take your time and ease yourself in. So I think that would be the key thing I would advise others to do, is it, even if they're just thinking about it and they don't think they're ready, just to do it and give it a go, and I'm pretty sure they'll realize that it does give you a lot more free time.
So before I let you go, can you let us know where we can find you? Any websites, social media accounts that we can follow you in?
Yeah, sure. So my main website is the Digital Nomad Revolution. So all of my contact details and all my social media links on there. So that's the best place to find me and see what I'm doing, and to contact me if people need to.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. All of the things that you have told us today are very, very valuable, and I'm very lucky to have spoken with you today.
You're welcome. Thanks for the interview. It was good fun.